Here live on ABC's KMET 1490 AM.com. Your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. On the telephone line, I welcome to the program a former Major League Baseball catcher who played for the 1957 Baltimore Orioles. I welcome in Tommy Patton. Tommy, great to have you on the show.
Hey, Brian. I appreciate you inviting me on this show.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. And, Tommy, I know your playing days were quite a while ago, but it's still fun to reminisce about the old ball game with a pro player. So talk a little bit about your early beginnings in baseball. I know you were a star player in high school. Talk a little bit about your early years in baseball.
Well, pardon me. It was 1953 when I was signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. Before that, I played what we called midget baseball. We weren't affiliated with Little League. And from there, I went to American Legion baseball, and then in 1948, I guess it was, I did 6 years on the varsity of the small high school I went to. The regular catcher got, I think he had enlisted in the Marine Corps. So they didn't have a catcher. Now, I was only about 14 at the time, 13. So, but I did play 6 years on the high school varsity team. And that's where a fellow by the name of Nubby Weaver from Terry Hill, Pennsylvania, which is 8-9 miles northwest of where I lived at the time, and that was a small town called Honeybrook, Pennsylvania. There was a population of 800 and some people at the time I was in high school.
And Tommy, so the Honeybrook Midgets were your first organized baseball team in which you were part of, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Now, how did the Cardinals get a hold of you? How did the Cardinals first hear of you?
Okay, this Nubby Weaver was a bird dog scout for the Cardinals, and he answered to the guy that signed Stan Musial, and okay. I can't, right at the present time, I can't think of his name.
Was that Ollie Vanek?
Ollie Vanek, you're correct. Thanks for helping me there.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a well-known scout at the time.
Yeah, well, the Mr. Weaver, he would attend it seemed like he attended all the games that I played, or an awful lot of them, before I was signed. And two or three times Mr. Vanek was with him when he appeared at the baseball field where we're playing at that particular day.
So that's pretty interesting that Vanek scouted Stan Musial and he also scouted you.
Yeah. There's a hell of a difference there, right?
Well, I mean, you're forever linked with the great Stan Musial. How about that?
Yes, and I went to spring training with the Cardinals 2 years, 55 and 56, so I got to meet Stan personally, and he and Brooks Robinson were the two nicest men that I met in the 9 years I played professional ball. Now, Brooks, he was in the Texas League in 1956 with San Antonio, and I was with the Houston Buffaloes in '56. Then the following year is when I was up for a month or more. I'm not sure how many days I was up with the Orioles, and when I got an invitation to live or room with Brooks in Baltimore. Now, when we went on the road, and I did make one complete road trip except to Washington in the American League in 1957.
Now, Tommy, I know it goes way back, but around 56, 57 was Brooks Robinson. I mean, he was a rookie at the time. Was he as good as he became, even that young in his age?
Yes, he was. As a matter of fact, I can vividly remember him making two plays, one in Houston, one in San Antonio, that the whole team, our whole team, got up and gave him a hand for the play that he made. So, yes, there was no doubt in my mind. Of course, I didn't know a hell of a lot about the game at that time, but he made some terrific plays. And on top of all that, he was just so nice a person that I was so thrilled to have the honor to be asked to room with him. And we kept in touch for a number of years afterward.
Yeah, and we recently lost Brooks Robinson. I mean, what a tremendous fielder he was. No question about it. And Tommy,
I didn't really realize that he was so ill. I didn't see anything in the paper that I got at the time. I really didn't realize how bad it was until I happened to catch the news on television about it. So, and I really felt bad about it, but I'm sure there was thousands of other people did too.
We're talking with Tommy Patton, catcher for the 1957 Baltimore Orioles. And Tommy, you shared a nice story. Well, you shared a story with me when I spoke to you. When you were playing in the Texas League, what happened? There was an incident that happened with you and Jim Gentile, who was on this program as well. Tell us about that incident.
Yeah, it was one of those. I'm not sure. I can't remember what team. I really think it was Fort Worth, Texas, and Jim was the first baseman for them. I was catching for the Houston Buffaloes, and I don't know what this scuffle was about, but it turned into one of those baseball brawls where everybody gets in and you just swing at who's ever closest to you if it gets to that point. Well, Jim, he went to hit someone, and I walked in front of him or was pushed in front of him or whatever, but he hit me right in the back of the head, and I fell frontwards onto the ground. So I guess everybody thought, boy, that guy got a shot. And I did feel it, but it didn't hurt the next day, or there was no damage done So, and then after the game, I guess Jim realized what had happened. He come over to our dressing area and invited me to go out for something to eat and something to drink. And I thought that was pretty nice of him.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, so you remained after you retired. You remained friendly with Jim Gentile?
No, I did not. The only time I saw Jim was either in spring training a couple of years, and the few times that we played the team, he was actually on at that time. And I'm really not 100% sure, but I think it was Fort Worth, Texas.
Now, the 1957 Baltimore Orioles, your former team, besides yourself, there was you had a few other catchers on that team. You had Gus Triandos, if you recall.
Yes.
Right? It was yourself. And you also had Joe Ginsberg.
Correct.
Yeah, so now, go ahead.
Before that, I had always read, or I had read numerous times about how the older players didn't treat the young players very nicely. I could not say that ever happened to me. Gus Triandos did everything he could do to help me, and Ginsberg was the same way. So I have nothing bad to say about either one of them.
And what about the manager, Paul Richards, who played baseball in the 30s? He was also a catcher.
Correct. And I think he was a catcher for the White Sox.
Did you get along with Paul Richards?
When Brandis got hurt at one point while I was still at Baltimore, but I was in transition to go to Vancouver. And I thought, well, I'm going to drive home and rather than just catch a plane and go out there, because I wanted to take my car. I wanted to have a car. And in the meantime, Triandos got hurt. And so they called me from Baltimore and said, instead of going to Vancouver, you get on the train and go to Boston and meet the team in Boston, the Red Sox. So that was great for me, because Ted Williams was my favorite ball player as a kid. And just as I got dressed to go out on the field, the batting practice for the Red Sox was taking place, and Ted Williams was right at the entrance of the batting cage, so I thought, boy, he's gone in there to hit. So, and no sooner I thought that, and he did. So I thought, boy, this is my chance to see him close up. So I walked up behind the batting cage, and I was watching him, and my manager, Paul Richards, came over and put his arm around my shoulder, right shoulder, and looked at me and said, son, that man does not have a weakness. And that's all he said. He just turned and walked away. So that was my introduction to Ted Williams close up. I didn't get to say anything to him, and I wouldn't have anyway, because I don't think he enjoyed that kind of thing. But it was a big thrill for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, did you ever, get in contact or meet Mickey Mantle at the time?
No, I played in spring training one game in Houston when they were making the trip from being out west. They came through Houston. We played them one game, and I really didn't talk to him except saying hello when he came up to bat. But I did get to see him hit one over a left center field fence, which really wasn't any great feat for him, because the fence was only 330 feet, but it was about 25 feet high or 20 feet high. And then I also saw him in St. Petersburg, but I was only out in the bullpen there. And that day he hit 2 home runs, one left-handed and one right-handed. And that was as close I ever came to meeting him or talking to him.
Now, Tommy, did you have a favorite pitcher that you enjoyed catching? Because that 57 Orioles team, I mean, you had Dizzy Trout, you had Milt Pappas, Billy Lowe's, Billy Odell. I mean, these were all pitchers on that staff. Did you have a favorite pitcher that you enjoyed catching?
Well, yeah. I roomed with Billy Odell in all spring training, which amounted to about 5 weeks that time. So he and I had a room there at the motel where they stayed, and we would go out to eat. We would do anything, maybe. And one thing we did, we went horseback riding on a day off. So, but as far as catching him, I didn't often do that, other than in the bullpen, maybe, but not in the game.
Now, what made you attracted to the catching position? How come you became a catcher?
Well, when I was young and playing midget ball, even there, if we had my cousin and myself were the only pitchers. So if I pitched, he sat on the bench or played some other position, and if he pitched, I would play another position. Well, sometimes. Usually when he pitched, I did catch him. But I like to play every day. I didn't care where they put me, but I didn't want to sit on a bench every day either.
And we're talking with Tommy Patton of the 57 Baltimore Orioles. Tommy, your first 5 innings in the majors, I mean, you had a heck of a game. You threw out one future Hall of Famer, Larry Doby, who was trying to steal. You reached base against a perennial all-star pitcher, Billy Pierce. Do you recall your first game in Major League Baseball?
I do. Very well. Trandis got hurt that day. He was hurt, and Ginsburg was catching that day, and he got hurt, I think, if I remember correctly. So I was the next man in line to catch, and my first at bat, which I looked forward to all my life, it was my boyhood dream to play in the major leagues. And when I got the chance, I was so dang nervous. I wasn't sure what to do. But I did hit the ball off of Pierce the first time pretty good. The second time, it wasn't. I couldn't even say I hit it hard. I didn't. It was. I imagine it was a slider, and it was in on my hands, so I didn't get any good wood on the ball, and it was right back to Billy.
And so you faced Billy Pierce, who was, like I mentioned, he was an all-star. I mean, did you have, were you nervous in your stomach to face a perennial all-star pitcher?
Yeah, I guess I was very nervous, and I suppose if it was the last man in the bullpen that I got to hit against, I would have been the same way. I think I would have been nervous regardless of who it was. But I was thankful that I got the hit from him on him. I didn't get a hit off of him, but I did get the bat against him.
Amazing. So 1957, that year ended your career with Baltimore. What exactly happened there?
Well, Richard came to me one day and he said, "Tom, we want to send you someplace where you can play." He said, "You're just sitting here, and that's probably what it would be if you stay here." Now, I said, "Well, that makes sense to me, and because I like to play." And then my next question was, "Where are you going to send me?" Well, and he told me we have a Double-A affiliate in San Antonio, Texas, in the Texas League. Well, that suited me fine because I was familiar with that league, played in it in 1956, so I did know a lot about it. And then, before I even got there, someone got hurt again. So that's when they called me and told me I had to go to Boston. But they didn't tell me anything about going to Vancouver. They told me I was going to San Antonio.
Now I'm sorry. Now you also did a little time with the you played for manager Charlie Metro, right? In around 58.
I did. Yes, I did. 58 and 59. Part of 59. Yeah.
So did you get along with Charlie Metro?
I guess I'll have to say I didn't.
You didn't. What happened there?
I did not. I did not. Yeah. But
and what happened with Charlie Metro? What transpired there? How come you didn't get along with Charlie Metro?
Well, his thoughts and my thoughts were altogether different when I was catching, and I didn't want to argue with the man because I certainly didn't know the game like he did, but I would often get signals from the bench to do this and do that, and I know some of them were correct, and probably all of them were correct, but there were sometimes when I thought, this can't be right. And there again, that was in 58. Then I was with them at the start of the season and stayed about a month in 59. And then they got Jim Pagnarone, who was a good receiver, plus he had a little power. I was never a power hitter at all. So he said, "Tom, we're going to send you to Amarillo," which was an new affiliate with Baltimore. Well, I knew something about Texas, but I didn't know anything about Amarillo. And after I was there a while, I really liked it. The people were wonderful there. The only thing is, they had some weird weather I mean, it could be a beautiful day, and then the next 10 minutes or so, it would be a storm, and that would blow up, windy, and heck, it was almost like nighttime. So, but other than that, I liked my year in Amarillo. And I had a lot of good teammates there too.
And I was going to say, Tommy, I have 1 minute left. So you played until you played organized professional ball until 1961. After 61, what did you do?
My family were always in the building business, so I did try that for 2 years, but I couldn't take the cold weather. I thought, I got to find something else. So my neighbor at the time was a boss at Pepperidge Farm Bakery. I don't know if you know anything about. Well, I know you do. You're living in Connecticut. They had a home office there,
right?
And that was great. I stayed there 38 years, and there was never a day that I get up and say, "Oh God, I got to work again." I loved going to work, and I had a very repetitious job. It wasn't that important, but I enjoyed every minute I was there.
Well, Tommy, listen, this was fun. I really appreciate your time. I mean, a rare baseball interview with 1957 baseball catcher for the Baltimore Orioles, Tommy Patton, who you just heard from. It was fun, Tommy. I appreciate it.
Well, I certainly appreciate getting the invite from you and being on your show. I hope it goes okay for you.
Oh, it was fantastic.
And I would like to hear from you in the future.
Absolutely. 1957 Baltimore Orioles catcher, Tommy Patton. Until next week, happy collecting to all.